We always said SOBCon was a family affair, and I didn't know the Brogans would take it quite this seriously. But I'm glad they did, because I was just mentioning to Chris how interesting, if I was to imagine sitting down with my parents on either side to have a conversation with them in front of 100 people, that would be very interesting. So first, I just want to say that Chris has been like a part of our social media lives now since the beginning of social media. So I just wanted to thank you for all you've contributed to make it what it is today. And that's a personal thank you. Thank you very much. It's been a long, interesting ride, hasn't it? Yeah. And it's still going on. And now Chris applies his craft at Human Business Works, and if you get his newsletter, which he puts out, he writes consistently great things about what's going on and what we can do to make our businesses better, so I thank you for that too. Thank you. And then now Diane and Steve Brogan are embarking, I guess, right, on an adventure, a business adventure of their own. So we thought it would be interesting for Chris to talk to Steve and Diane about that, because since it's entrepreneurial, they're starting out. We've been talking about entrepreneurs all day and stepping into the arena. Well, they just took a step into the arena. So it'll be interesting to hear about that adventure. So Chris, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And this is Diane Brogan and Steve Brogan, if you hadn't yet met them. One of the things I wanted to start with is it's interesting, we always start to talk to people sort of from the point in time of which we meet them, and it's always hard to get history. And I find that I'm forever meeting somebody who's done something really amazingly huge back then, wherever back then was. And so one of the things I want to say is that my parents were both DJs at a radio station when they met. Isn't that the coolest thing in the world? Yeah, like my dad was a DJ back when the Beatles albums were first coming out and stuff, and they used to do a nighttime news report together. Like, well, saying Brinkley Huntley is like not saying anything to 2/3 of the room. It's like, you know, I might as well say Lone Ranger, and you can like whoosh over your head with that. So anyway, I just think it's so cool that, you know, when people are like, wow, you're so into this stuff, I'm like, you know, I came from, it comes in the genetics. One of the reasons to have the conversation was that my parents both sort of acquired a social network upon showing up to places like Twitter, because I think a lot of people thought it was a novelty that I had parents who were actively using Twitter. But, you know, I think a lot of people early on, I mean, one was there sort of isn't that cute factor, and then there was a sort of, you know, they thought it was a novelty, you know, as if we, you know, this is like an act or something. But when you first came into using social media, I'll start with you, Mom. When it feels so weird, I've never had a panel with my parents. We shoot videos with each other and stuff. What were sort of your first impressions of coming into this world? Because, I mean, not through the eyes of me and what I do with it, but your view. What was your sort of clean slate of getting on Twitter and stuff like that? Eat the mic.
Well, it was kind of interesting. And I like Guy Kawasaki because, man, does that guy tweet. And you never know what he's going to tweet. And he was just the most interesting. So I followed you and I followed Guy Kawasaki. And I just went to Worlds Unknown. And then from you and Guy, well, not so much Guy, because he doesn't kind of follow other people, but from you, I just went to other places and other places and other places. And then I'd click on them and I'd follow them, and then they'd lead me to other people, and it's just like a spider web until I just started following other people.
So, Dad, in social networks right now, who is the typical kind of person that you follow? Like, what do you find interesting, and what's in your stream?
Well, I do have a lot of different interests. I follow social media folks as a result of the early starting of social media between the three of us, and I have a passion for poker, so I follow poker professionals. But when online poker was available, I started following people that I played against at tournaments that we held together online. We had this group called the TPT, Twitter Poker Tour. And they've since had to basically shut down because the DOJ, another acronym. said that online poker wasn't being done according to Hoyle, or is it Doyle? And anyway, this gave me a different group, and even now, so I have my social media group, my poker friends, as well as poker professionals that I follow, and now I'm following dealers, poker dealers. I should reference that, poker dealers. Blackjack dealers, not dealers. But anyway, so my interests have gone into that realm as well.
I forgot to mention in the starting bio of you that my dad is now a professional poker dealer, and it's almost like, if you want to get to the World Series of Poker, you can get on the side where you might get the bracelet, but at least you can get on the side where you can hand out the bracelet. So, one of the things we wanted to start talking about was the fact that, you inherited a bunch of sort of gee whiz, Chris's parents are on Twitter followers, but then you evolved into, and it wasn't anything, you were always you. The people around you evolved into you. And I guess one of the starting points of that was Amy Howell and gang and the Twitter chat group, the Badass 75. Oh, I should say hi to Holly Pollard. So the BA75 tweet chats were monthly, and just tell, I guess, a little bit about how that started, how you got involved in the first place of that, and where that led you.
I am one of the original Twitter Badass 75 women. Woo! There's another one, Miss Amber Cleveland. Ah. And it's a group of 75 women. It was created by Diana Adams and Amy Howell. And they just got together and they said, this group of 75 women, they're really Twitter's badass. And what it is a group of 75 really dynamic women. And the reason that I got named is because I keep Chris Brogan in line, my claim to fame. Basically, the group gets together once a month and say, hey, we're badass women. And that's about the extent of what we've done so far. Because everybody is so busy doing the multitude of things that they do that they really don't have time to do anything else. And that's about as far as we've evolved to this point.
So wait, though, but that's during the gatherings. But I watch your Twitter stream. I look over your shoulder, and I see you every morning having your little chit-chat with everybody on the earth. You're like Brian Simpson's other mom. I know that that's not a role you always want to be as the other mom. Sometimes you just like to be a lady who's also having conversation. But I see that with Liz. And did anyone see the photo album that my mom put together for Liz based out of Liz's photos and Liz's quotes? Liz takes photos of the sunrise and things like that every morning, and my mom had this idea of collecting them and making a book out of it and presented it to Liz. Why I think that's cool is that's a Steve Farber thing. That's a make the damn phone call thing. That's, no one said you should make a book, but how do you forget somebody made you a book? I mean, it's kind of a game stopper. What gave you the idea to do that? What made you think, I think I ought to make a book? And then how did it all come together?
I live in the country. We lose power in the country, and we don't always have access to the internet. It depends upon what the weather's doing. And so I don't always get to see the sunshine that Liz presents every morning. Every morning. She's so beautiful. And she has quite a following, we're the Sunshine Girls. And we get on there, we appreciate the sunshine, and we appreciate Liz and all that she gives us and the beautiful, beautiful photos. And I thought, if I could just put a few of those photos in a book, and like if the lights go out, at least she could say, okay, so maybe the lights never go out in Chicago, but it's when she's away traveling or something, she could take some sunshine with her if it was in a book, and she would know that we still love her, That's all.
It's a great plan. All right, you, mister. Why Twitter? There's all those other social networks. You could be on Facebook. You could be on Google+. You could be on Pinterest or Gentlemint, which is, Pinterest for dudes. Why Twitter out of all of them? That seems to be your kind of go-to one, right?
Well, it seems to be the easiest one. It's the first one that I picked up. Facebook, to me, is a little more cumbersome. I actually do enjoy Google+, but because I've used Twitter so much, I think of that first. I mean, my Android phone app that works well for me has Tweetcaster on it for the Android part of it. My iPad has Twitterific, and I mean, these all work to make it easier for me to throw my puns in, to throw my hashtags in, to make fun of myself even, to make jokes with others. So it seems like for me it's more engaging. I can do a little bit more with it. I get responses back, like this morning at 6:30 in the morning, Central Time. I'm out gathering some coffee, and I tweet that to my following, if you will. And I get 2 responses back, one from New York and one from Philadelphia, saying, while you're there, please pick some up for me so that I can have it intravenously. And I told them, well, no problem. I'll just be a little while because I didn't rent a car, so I'll have to hoof it. You know, but how can you do that, even with a phone call? Because phone calls are like one-to-one. Now there's good value in phone calling, as we found out, but one to many and many to many seem to work best for me right now.
That's an interesting premise. My parents both blog and video blog. My dad writes at dadspokerblog.com, and my parents also keep mompoppow.com. And I sort of forced you into video blogging just because I think you're both characters, and I thought it would be great to get that going. And you've gone in a lot of interesting places. One of the things I wanted to talk about was the fact that I used to receive boxes of audiobooks from Hachette Audio. And first off, they sent me a bunch of stuff that I didn't read. It wasn't my style. It was their style. And then second, I just kind of got too busy to want to do audiobook reviews. But you ran with that. And now Hachette Audio sends you the boxes of books. How did you find that process? What did you think about it? And when you were more actively video blogging, what was it like kind of getting into that world?
At first, it was scary. It was terribly scary. And you brought a camera along and says, here, now go video blog. And it's like, good God, man, what do you think about us? And we did it. And it was just like crocheting that first Afghan. Too bad my mother died before she saw it finished. But anyway, and it was such an accomplishment. And all the rest of you guys, you just blog and you throw this stuff up on the internet and you don't think a thing about it, you know. But that first one, it was such an accomplishment. But now we're pretty good at it. Yes. Yes.
I like your blog every day but Friday. Every Friday is Cat Friday. So they get pictures of their cats. Spade and Diamond for the poker player. But what's it like keeping a blog? I mean, you fell out for a while. I mean, you're a recovering blogger, so you're getting back on again. What's the good and bad of doing it? Why bother? I mean, there are not many people. I mean, I'm going to guess, I've been to your house many times, as one might guess. I'm going to go with your neighbors aren't bloggers. Nor would you ever across the fence say, hey, do you blog?
That's a good point as far as, say, the neighbors being bloggers. I do know that they had one particular year had their political persuasion out there, and I won't say what it was, but they also said something to the effect that, and I have a gun. So that kept me from perhaps asking about, oh, do you blog as well? You know, so the blogging thing. The poker thing kind of, I enjoyed it for a while. We used to talk different things. All of the people that I played with, we'd all visit each other. There was something like 47 bloggers at the time. There's more than that for poker blogs. There's probably like a couple thousand. And eat the mic. Okay.
You're holding it like a rapper.
There you go. And so we used to comment on each other's blogs, which is the appropriate thing to do, and we would write our tales of woe or tales of stories of what we did or didn't do or what we wanted to do, and then it kind of fell apart when, as I say, the online thing took it apart, and then some of my fellow bloggers, they stopped blogging, and then I ended up stopping, but now that I'm reinvigorated with dealing as opposed to playing as a player, because I was also, and am, a losing player, so it's much better to be dealing and watching all the others lose and then dealing the hands that cause them to lose. I mean, it's not my fault, but it does happen. Not everybody wins, but it's quite enjoyable to me to watch from the opposite side.
Go to dadspokerblog.com and read the Bad Santa post for a really good example of that. Why do they call you Santa, I wonder?
Yes.
You have a plan. The plan was predicated by the fact that, as you pointed out, you live in the country, and you live in a home in the woods beside a swamp, not unlike the Princess Bride. Then if you turn out that you're allergic to pretty much everything in the air around your home, right. So my dad's a dealer and my mom has the sniffles. Where's this going? Do you want to tell people about the plan?
Drier territory, perhaps?
Yes, drier territory. So most people, there's that movie and also that song. I put quotes around song. Did you hear it? Leaving Las Vegas. You're going to Las Vegas.
We are going to Las Vegas. I'm going to be the hostess with the mostest, and he's going to be a professional poker dealer. And I'm going to structure a business, and it's going to, so we're working on purpose, and I didn't have my purpose until 2 o'clock this morning. And if I'd had Marla's phone number, I would have been calling her. And anyway, it's so exciting because it's on 3 levels, and I haven't got all the details worked out, but I have them in my head. And so I'm going to be your concierge when you come to Vegas. And if you say, like, you have a 12-hour block of time, I'll tell you what you can do for fun in that 12-block hour of time. And if you need Mama Bear there to take care of you, Mama Bear will be there to take care of you. And so anyway, there's more to come. You can read all about it on Mom Pop Pow, which will be converting to Mom Pop Pow Vegas.
How does your experience in communities and/or your experience in the last couple of days in SOBCon influence that idea that you're going to become the social concierge of Las Vegas?
I bet everyone in this room is going to be going to Vegas sometime soon within the next 5 years. And you just might all stop by and say hi, or maybe I'll just drop by and say hi to you wherever you're going to be.
Blog World 2013, right, back to Vegas. Yeah, so all the big shows. I in the nature of my business, I happen to go to a lot of events in Vegas now because every conference in the world seems to have been moved to Vegas except for SOBCon, thank you.
They heard I was coming.
They heard you were coming. So, now I get to drop in on my parents a lot more often because, I'll just fly to their house. And you, hooligan, are going to be a professional poker dealer somewhere down on the Strip. Did I understand it right? Because I've been telling everyone this, so maybe you just clear me up if I'm lying, like the Christmas tree story. You can work like pretty much 14 days at the World Series of Poker and make like your year's revenue. Is that right?
It's actually more like 8 weeks, 9 weeks. But
I thought 14 days.
No, that
Math
would be awesome. But if you work the 2 months or so from when they start to when they end, that could be done. Now, that would be like 12 to 18-hour days
Well,
while you're doing that. So young guys like ourselves have to pace ourselves. So I might work only a third of the time, but it's possible.
I wouldn't mind a gig where I work 8 weeks and then stop. That's not bad. What do you need to make the Vegas concierge experience happen? What's going to be the success of that? Do you know yet, or is it too soon in the storyline?
I'd say probably connections.
Connections, isn't that a theme we got, including from Mr. Farber? Is once you start knowing some people, then it starts getting a little better. I guess, Terry, where are we? Are we like a few minutes away, or?
You've got about 5.
All right. Well, this might be a wonderful time for questions. Is anybody willing to belt out a question or two? I mean, has anyone ever wanted to ask the?
I want to hear what Chris was like when he was growing up, and did you see this unbelievable thing that he's become, the potential early on?
Chris has been a showman since the day he was born.
And a lot of the things that he does not come from our DNA. He does this all on his own, which amazes us. It's like, where did this come from? And yet people say, oh, we're glad those genes were passed on to you. Well, we need some of those ourselves to do what we're going to do.
The thing I wanted to say about that is that, from the earliest memories I have of waking up in my house, there's 2 things about my mom. She is a ridiculous morning person. She'd come into my room and sing loudly good morning, it's time to start the day out right. And then the sheet would go off of my body, and I'd be still trying to fight the spiders with the cotton candy feet or whatever that was happening in my dream. And my mom would say things like, you're destined for greatness. You are a great guy. She would say all this like really crazy, inspiring junk. And so I was raised on that. I was raised believing I was going to conquer the universe because of my parents. Neither one of them ever made me say that I wasn't going to. And I know you don't all get that. I know all of you don't have amazing parents that, say that you're going to conquer the universe. I know some of them said horrible things to you. Some of them had to leave you behind, all these horrible things. I'm not nearly the dad that my dad is to me. So that said, you can't allow that to be a reason why not. My mom is amazing, and my dad is amazing, and everyone in their lineage, some of them were great parents and some of them weren't. So I guess to answer that question for Barry, what I was like as a kid was everything I am now, thinking I'm going to do everything, finishing about 1/20th of it, making mistakes and failing, apologizing, getting punished, finding out grounding doesn't work, just all those kinds of things. But, the same way, I mean, what do you learn from, when I grew up, my dad had 5 or 6 jobs or whatever to make it all work. And so what did I learn there? Well, 3 or 4. Math is hard. I learned that, you work, you get it done. You work hard. The biggest car accident I ever got in my life, I called my mom, who at the time was force management for the phone company, so she scheduled people to show up. I called her, I'm all shaking. I'm like, oh my God, it was just this horrible car accident. She goes, are you hurt? No, I'm fine. I'm just really shaken up. I don't think I'm going to go to work tomorrow. She goes, yes, you are. You're scheduled. It's the phone company. That's what you do. Okay. So I went to work. That's the lessons you can get out of this. There's a question from Michelle.
I've got a question for both your parents. Pardon me if I didn't pay attention. Are you retired from your previous jobs?
Oh, we're retired from a dozen jobs, but we're not retired.
No, that's what I'm getting to. What motivates you to keep wanting to learn? I mean, obviously you've learned all these things, and what is it that drives you and inspires somebody like me to say, you know what, I'm going to start a new business when I'm 60 years old or 53 years old or 55 years old or whatever?
We don't want to move to that underground condo.
Right, that's what my mother called it. I had a teacher back in high school that basically said,
Well said.
when you stop learning, you're probably dead. I mean,
Amen to that.
That's about it, really. I mean,
And
you should be starting a business when you die. You're 90-something years old. I think I'm going to... All right, I think we're done.
That goes hand in hand with my last check will bounce in my life.
So Diane Brogan and Steve Brogan, people, thank you so much.
Really, thank you guys so much. Really a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Diane. Thank you.